about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So I'm sorry, the show is not complete if I don't at least talk about one of my biggest loves in life is sports. And the NFL draft is going on. Day one was yesterday, where Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, first pick for the Tennessee Titans. As many of you are aware, the draft picks are usually in order of how well or how poorly you did in the previous season. So the Kansas City Chiefs and the Eagles get the final picks of the first night, unless, of course, they trade their picks or someone trades with them. But the Titans, Jaguars, Giants, Patriots got, the first of the picks. So quarterback Cam Ward going to the Titans, Travis Hunter, wide receiver, cornerback from Colorado going to Jacksonville Jaguars. New York Giants are getting Abdul Carter, an edge from Penn State. New England Patriots, Will Campbell from LSU, an offensive tackle. Mason Graham is going to the Cleveland Browns, defensive tackle from Michigan. Raiders are going to be stepping it up this year with their new head coach. We got Tom Brady in the background being part owner. I think it's going to be Pete Carroll can do some amazing things with the Las Vegas Raiders, and they got a new running back, which we needed, Ashton Jonty from Boise State. Now I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. So, look, we need everything. We need a wide receiver. We need a running back. We need a guard, offensive tackle, lineman. And I think we were 12. We got Tyler Booker, a guard out of Alabama, for our first-round pick. We'll see how Dallas does. But it's going to be an interesting season. But what was very, very fascinating yesterday was Clay Matthews of the Green Bay Packers. No friend of the Bears. Now, there's a real big Green Bay Packer, Chicago Bear animosity. Just like for years it was Cowboys and Redskins, who are now the Washington Commanders. Every team has their rival. And so Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears rivals till the end. But this was fascinating. So Clay Matthews gets up there, right? Former linebacker. I think he was also on Pitch Perfect, so he could sing, apparently, also. He gets up there and he says he just got off the phone with President Donald Trump. You immediately hear screams and joy and woo. It's kind of nice. Right. And I've told you, I think a lot of NFL fans, are conservative. So he says he just got off the phone with President Donald Trump and has a message. Now, this is off script. And he said he did apologize to the commissioner for going off script. But he said, hey, just got off the phone with the President Donald Trump. You hear, woo, yay. He said he asked me to pass a message along to all 32 NFL franchisees. He said, let me tell you what it reads here. All right. And he says, my fellow Americans, the Bears still suck. Okay, now everybody screamed and we're all happy and, whatever. And look, I like the Bears in the 80s, Refrigerator Perry. And the Bears, all of these teams, the Dolphins in the 90s, they have their, actually the Redskins had won, what was it, the 87, 88 Super Bowl? Everybody has their ups and downs. The Cowboys, don't get me started on that. But what was so intriguing about that was the fans going crazy that there was a message from the president. Now, I don't know if President Trump truly said that. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't, know how much of a fan he is of Chicago anyway, so it could be. But, when you see like what happened with Nick Bosa before the election last year, showing everybody the MAGA hat, when you see, it's interesting because the NFL has been plagued with anti-American sentiment, with the kneeling, with, to see, players say, look, I'm going to, not hide who I support. There's this freedom that I'm noticing, this weight off people's chests, that they don't have to hide who they support. And it's because the majority finally got a voice. And we knew it was a majority of Americans. And they were loud this last election. And so it's interesting to see, players now not feel like they have to hide it. The fans, it's not that, the fans are nice, they don't boo. Oh, no. These fans know how to boo. And I'm sure you notice every year Roger Goodell gets booed every draft. So opening day, Roger Goodell names off the draft picks. And then guests and other people do it day 2, 3, and onward. And so every time Roger Goodell comes out on stage, he gets booed. Okay, it's kind of funny. Now, he knows it. In fact, sometimes the boos are so loud that you could barely hear the draft pick. I mean, but yesterday people got quiet pretty quick. He comes on stage, they go, boo. You even see him laugh about it. He's laughed about it. He's addressed it before. He says he likes it. I'm sure everyone else is going to say. But I noticed people got pretty quiet so they could hear the draft pick. But this has been a tradition going on for years. In fact, during the 2020 virtual draft, Goodell said he missed the interaction with the fans and took the boos, virtually stating it's a draft tradition and one I genuinely enjoy. And it's not unique to football. The NHL, NBA draft, fans greet their commissioners with the same boo. And it's funny. And, and now I don't mind getting booed. If I ever get booed, I'm like, okay, it's great. So, you're looking at crowds that could very easily boo and can very easily, show discontent. And here's, Clay Matthews saying, I got a message from the president. And people start to scream they're happy. And I understand the polls from some of the media outlets are saying it's up and down because of tariffs, etc. But, from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of common sense stuff that wasn't done. Elon Musk said they fixed, we'll talk about that a little bit later, they fixed a bunch of the dead people on the Social Security payrolls, whether they were getting money or not, but they still have millions to go. So, things are heading in the right direction. God willing. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So one of the reasons why I haven't had a lot of house plants is because I get bad allergies. I have pets. You got to be careful. I'd love to have some aloe, but you can't have aloe plants around pets if they're going to eat the aloe plant. And my animals do like to just nibble on plants. Poinsettias, I love poinsettias, but I always catch a cat chewing on them. So I haven't had a lot of plants. Also, because I travel a lot, I'm worried that I'm going to forget to put that bottle of water thing in there. I just don't have that green thumb like I wish I did. But I got to tell you, I want to get some house plants this season, because they do so much for your mental health as well as your physical health. They clean up toxins in the room. You know, it's not very natural to be in a setting where you aren't around plants. Remember, in the olden days or the caveman days, you were surrounded by plants. You had access to outside. You had, but now that we're indoors, I mean, I'm in a studio. I don't have plants in my studio. Maybe I should. It might make the show better. So let's talk about plants and how it can improve your mental health, your physical health, and what plants to avoid if you have kitty cats and dogs, especially mine. I really don't know what the hell they think sometimes. I don't understand why they, anyway. So a few years ago, we told you about a study out of Japan that found that office plants will help improve the mental health of those who are stuck indoors all day long doing a desk job. Researchers with this study a few years back evaluated 69 workers' psychological stress and physiological stress. They used questionnaires, they looked at their pulse rates, and they underwent this control phase without a desk plant and then an intervention phase with a plant of their choice. Air plants, bonsais, Japanese black pine, San Pedro cactus, foliage plants like parlor palm, heartleaf philodendron, garden croton, kokedama of corn plant, and echeveria. And they had training on how to take care of their plant, because that's my problem too. I don't want to kill the plant and then get depressed. So they trained them how to take care of their plant. And during the intervention, so the people who didn't have a plant didn't have to worry about it. But if you had the plant, you had to take care of it. And not shockingly, those people who had desk plants just next to them while they worked had overall improvement in their stress and their heart rate. Now, remember, a high resting pulse is a sign of stress, could be a bad sign in terms of heart disease. So we want your heart rate between 60 and under 90. Okay, so 60 to 89. So the lower resting heart rate, that means the more active you are, the more healthy you are. But the higher resting heart rate, not as healthy. Doesn't mean you're going to have a heart attack, but not as healthy. So if you're always in the 90s, we really want to get you down to the 70s. So the study authors concluded for business owners, small indoor plants could be economical and helpful in their effort to reduce stress-related conditions. In addition, for growers of indoor plants and business owners of rental plant companies, the field of mental health for office workers could be promising markets. Our findings provided a piece of evidence in using small indoor plants for promoting workers' mental health in the office. Now, in addition to that, I wrote a piece years ago on how plants could be very healthy. I worked with a pharmacologist. Her name is Dr. Karen Deuce. And she would have tons of plants in her office. And she was always the happiest of all the professors. And her office had fresh air. I loved it. And so after that, I decided to look up, what plants were healthy, because she would talk about how these plants would clean out noxious chemicals. So I did a little study on this. I did a little piece on this years ago, and I published it. So carbon monoxide will build up in your surroundings. You got radon, you got formaldehyde you need to get rid of. Formaldehyde comes from tobacco smoke, new wood furniture, flooring, cabinets, glue, cosmetics, detergents. And just because somebody isn't smoking around you, if it's on their clothes, you're picking up third-hand smoke. Volatile organic compounds like benzene could be circulating in your office. Plastics, rubber, detergents, degreasers release this. Ammonia from detergents and cleaners. If your office got cleaned the day before. Xylene from cigarettes, paint, car exhaust. And so we've heard of, and we spoke about sick building syndrome before COVID. where people who are constantly surrounded by all these chemicals and toxins start getting headaches and fatigue and myalgias, muscle aches, palpitations. You could get nosebleeds. And then sick building syndrome has been linked to cancer and death. So household plants may be able to eliminate some of these risks and help clean up the air. So what are some of these plants? So the Boston fern, actually, let me see if I have a more comprehensive list. Hold on a second. Let me go to what I wrote. Okay, so here's the thing. Aloe vera is one of the top choices people use. They like to use it, for burn relief. They like to use it because it removes formaldehyde and benzene from the air. You got to be careful, of course, because aloe vera cannot be around your pets. But if we're not talking about pets and we're talking about your desk space or office space, aloe vera can be fantastic. Spider plants can reduce carbon monoxide and formaldehyde. Your Boston fern could remove formaldehyde. Snake plants can remove benzene and formaldehyde. The Areca palm, they removed most of the above chemicals. In fact, it was rated most efficient air purifying plant by NASA and the Associated Landscape Contractors of America. Lady palms can remove formaldehyde and ammonia. Bamboo palm removes benzene, trichloroethylene, and formaldehyde. Peace lily removes benzene, ammonia, and formaldehyde. Golden pothos removes, again, most of the above chemicals we talked about. Dragon tree removes xylene. English ivy can remove formaldehyde and mold. Chinese evergreen, very talented, also eliminates much of the above chemicals. So if you want to get rid of some of the carbon monoxide, radon, formaldehyde, chemicals, ammonia, xylene around you that you're breathing in, you might want to introduce a lot more plants. And I go outside a lot. So I'm outside a lot, and but I just, now that it's going to start getting hot, I'm going to be indoors more. So I might need that. Now, when you are indoors more, if you're around pets, the house, might not smell as good. So there's actually plants that help with making your house smell better. According to Tom's Guide, 9 indoor plants will make your house smell nicer. These include jasmine. Look, I'm getting my allergies just looking at these plants. But jasmine helps. Citrus plants can also make your house smell better. Orchids, herbs. If you grow your own herbs, that's great. Pelargonium, those can also make your house smell a little better. Gardenias, hyacinths. Sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong. Eucalyptus plants, Hoya. And so those are some options. Okay, but now what do we do about our pets? So the ASPCA, the Nevada Humane Society, offer a lot of guidance on this. So some of the plants that the Nevada Humane Society suggests we avoid is the Swiss cheese plant or the Monstera deliciosa. Apparently, these are nice to the eye, but they could cause some major side effects if ingested by pets, like burning of the lips, mouth, drooling, swelling of the mouth, vomiting. Lilies, like the true lilies, peace lilies, day lilies, fairly common flower. However, these could cause some serious damage if your pets eat it. The aloe vera plant, great in taking out benzene of, formaldehyde from your house, but aloe vera could be very, very toxic to your pets. If a pet is lethargic, vomiting, diarrhea, shaking, that could be because they ate some of your aloe vera plants. Snake plants, just spoke about snake plants, but they could cause GI side effects and cause digestive issues in your pets. The philodendrons, lower maintenance plants, a lot of people like them, but that could also be hazardous to the pets, causing difficulty swallowing, drooling, vomiting, irritation. The bird of paradise flower, it's beautiful, vibrant colors, but with dogs, they say side effects may begin to show within 20-minute time span. Nausea, vomiting, shaking, increased heart rate. And if a dog consumes a lot of bird of paradise, they could die. So the Nevada Humane Society suggests some pet-safe plant suggestions. So the spider plant, which we spoke about also, that can help in terms of our chemicals in our room. Those could be easy to grow and are fairly safe around pets. Still don't let them eat the plants. Ferns are considered overall pet safe. Succulents, Although, is a cactus a succulent? I would still be careful because dogs will stick their nose on the cactus. Air plants, they say, calathea plants are also fairly safe, but just don't let your dog or pet near them. Maybe just have them higher up. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We're back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So we have some breaking news. Former Representative George Santos has been sentenced to more than 7 years in his federal fraud cases. As you know, he was the Republican from New York who had lied about, I believe, where he went to school. He had said he was Jewish, but then he wasn't Jewish. They go, no, but my friends say I'm Jew-ish. And I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Well, he was sentenced today to more than 7 years in federal prison. U.S. District Judge Joanna Siebert, who was appointed by former President Clinton, granted the Justice Department's request of 7 years and 3 months in prison during the sentencing in Long Island. I was surprised it was that much. But again, I wasn't really following his case. I know he lied and got elected, but you can't do that. You cannot be lying to constituents just to get elected. U.S. Attorney John Durham told reporters that Santos was ordered to pay more than $370,000 in restitution, forfeit another $200,000, and to surrender to federal custody by July 25th. From the moment Durham said he declared his candidacy for Congress, Santos leveraged his campaign for his own enrichment and financial benefits. He targeted specific supporters and constituents. He saw them as easy marks and made them victims of his fraud. Now, I think he was sobbing. We're getting reports that he was, he appeared pretty remorse. And I think he is sentenced now 87 months over 7 years. And, he told the court he felt humbled. And he said, I offer my deepest apologies. I can't rewrite the past, but I can control the road ahead. He's 36 years old. He pleaded guilty to committing wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. He was facing up to 22 years in prison, but people believe he's only going to get a 6 to 8 year sentence. And, the prosecution said he was a, quote, bombastic serial liar who eventually turned to criminality to support his expensive lifestyle that was built on audacious fabrications. And so he claimed he didn't commit the crimes. And so I'm not sure. I wasn't really following the case, and I didn't see, but we did see, and we spoke about him being caught in lies. And what I want to talk about is the serial lying. Many of us have known individuals who were serial liars, and they would lie for a variety of reasons, and some didn't even have a reason to do it. And we sadly teach our kids how to lie. Kids learn how to lie at a very, very early age. And when the consequences of you doing something, okay, see me, I was like, I didn't want to lie. And I would be very, very truthful, and I would get in trouble anyway. So that eventually I was like, well, look, if I'm going to get the belt, then, I might as well lie and try to stave it off. Maybe I'll grow more tushy cells, so that it'll be less painful, the next time I get it. But how my parents curbed lying is they said, if we catch you in a lie, the punishment is going to be worse. Now, I didn't like the way my parents punished me. But as kids, when you have kids, what I did with my kids is I wanted them to be honest. And I didn't lie about how the punishment would be less. And I would say, look, if you tell me the truth, this is going to be your punishment. But if you lie and I find out about it, then this is going to be your punishment. And they told the truth. Now, one time I thought they just lied about the truth just because the punishment was less. And they were like, you want to know what? That's a good deal. Why don't I say I did it? Right? It's a better punishment than, so like what I used to do with my kids is I had a, not a whiteboard. I had like a piece of paper taped up to the room where they would get goodie marks, little, where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you cross out little tick marks. And they would get goodie points for doing things that were, good. If they were bad, they would lose those tick points. If they hit a certain number of tick points, I would take them to the Ratatouille movie, or they would go to Disneyland, or they would, and so to go to Disneyland, there was like, I don't know how many, like 50 tick points. And I didn't give them out that easily, but I knew we were going, etc. Right? One time, the kids got me so gosh darn mad, I just ripped that piece of paper down from the wall and said, that you just subtracted all your tick marks. No. But I didn't want to hit them like my parents did. And so I would do a point system. Timeout did not work with my kids at all. It did not work. No way. They were just giggling or whatever. What worked really well is they were giving each other the middle finger. And they wouldn't stop doing that. So what I decided to do was I painted their middle finger with one of my very sparkly nail polishes. Well, they didn't want people to see their middle finger. So they hid that middle finger for days. That stopped that. So there's a lot of creative parenting you could do. But when it came to lying, I taught my kids, you got to tell the truth. You got to tell the truth. If you don't tell the truth. And then, my kids were starting to get in trouble in school. And I'm like, what? Why did you tell? You didn't have to tell your teachers that. You could have just kept quiet, or you said to tell the truth. I go, yeah, but okay, okay, you probably wouldn't have gotten in trouble at all. Okay, you gotta kind of play it smart. And I noticed I was lacking in teaching them how to play it smart. So Daddy took over for that. He's like, look, if you're in a court of law, not that they ever were, they go and they ask you, is the sky blue? And you only need to do a yes or no answer. You just say yes or no. You don't, you don't go on and you don't add extra information, because then that opens you up to more questioning. So if a teacher asks you a yes or no question, you just answer yes or no. You don't go on. You don't elaborate. So Daddy took over and gave them a little bit more street smart, because I was more, always take the high road, and, you won't regret it. You'll be able to, make God happy, all that other stuff. But we teach our kids how to lie early on, because they don't want to get in trouble. Did you spell this? Did you take this? Did you eat the last cookie? No. Yeah, and they lie. And it's what they, but adults, I have seen adults just continually make stuff up. And it's not true. And it's a mental illness when you have serial liars. And in many cases, it could be criminal, because they're using it to benefit, they're lying about something so they get funds, or so they get, government handouts, or so they, you really have to look at, why they're lying. But you have some people where their lie is the go-to. They'll just always lie. Is it that because, they have an inferiority complex? Is it that they don't think their life is that interesting, so they have to lie and say they did X, Y, and Z? And some of them have real elaborate stories. And I get it. White lies happen. How many times has your friend said, "How do I look?" And you're like, "You look great," and they look horrible. I mean, we've learned in society to lie. Interestingly, people with Asperger's and autism don't ascribe to that. They're smart. They're like, if you look like crap, you look like crap. I'm not going to lie. You look stupid in that dress. It's ridiculous. Good for them. They don't, though, seem to go far in society sometimes because of that truthfulness. But maybe, we eventually will become more truthful. But you can't deceive. So George Santos allegedly, deceived donors, and contributors. And apparently he was accused of funneling these political donations to spending on Botox, designer clothes, casino holidays, and OnlyFans fees. They said he collected $24,000 in unemployment benefits when he did have a job. He lied about his income on disclosure forms. He invented donations to make his campaign look better. This is sick. And he made it as far as getting to our Congress. So there's a lot of them out there. He's not the only one. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, I've been to a lot of races. I've seen marathons. I might not have actually run the marathon. Seen bike races. I've seen car races. I've never seen sperm race. But there's apparently 2 young men who are racing their sperm. Their sperm will actually be involved in a race for awareness of infertility. Hey, it's better than sitting and playing video games. I don't know if you saw this live sperm racing between USC and UCLA. This is going to be April 25 at the Hollywood Palladium. in Los Angeles. And this is the world's first sperm race. Eric Zhu teamed up with other teenage tech overachievers, according to Daily Mail, to create this race that is going to take place today. Their plan is to race live sperm in order to raise awareness for male infertility. They're using $1.4 million in funds raised from Silicon Valley investors to throw the event. Now, Zhu's father said, I had no idea what was going on until my international friends called me last Wednesday. They said they saw some news on a website. Apparently, his wife and his son are both accomplished competitive swimmers. But this is about the sperm, though. So spectators are going to cheer two college students on whose spermatozoa is going to battle it out in a microscopic talent competition. So it's going to be very interesting. And they're paying. Tickets for the event are $20 for students, $40 for general admission. And if you want VIP access to this, it's $1,000 per ticket to watch sperm race. I am proud of these boys. I just don't know how it's going to work. So the college students are Tristan Michael and Asher Proger. They're going to compete in the, quote, ultimate battle of fertility and fitness, racing their own sperm under the microscope. So actually, I think they're moving it from the Hollywood Palladium. Maybe there were like biohazard rules. I'm not sure. But they moved it, and now they have a new venue, I think LA Center Studios. Now, I don't have a lot of details on how they're going to watch this or how they're going to tag each other's sperm. They say the event includes stats, leaderboards, instant replays, play-by-play commentary. And the racetrack being used is 8 inches long, is modeled on the female reproductive system. According to Zhu, faster sperm is healthier sperm, and no one has really paid attention to sperm health recently. If you look at it 50 years ago, sperm count has declined by half. They're not wrong. The students are from rival universities, USC and UCLA. So Trojans versus Bruins. And they were found to have matching biomarkers and selected to take part. So according to Zhu, the student Zhu, sperm racing isn't about racing sperm. It's about turning health into a competition. It's about making male fertility something people would want to talk about, track, and improve. So, I mean, they got my attention. There's going to be a live video feed. It's going to magnify 40 times to display the 0.05 millimeter sperm. They're going to track their progress to the finish line. Now, they swim at 5 millimeters per minute. So to get 8 inches, it's going to be about 40 minutes. I guess whoever gets the finishing line first, which will be verified by advanced imaging, will be declared the winner. Now, raising awareness about this is very, very cool. And I do commend them on the, they are able to do that. I mean, what they can do is if they don't have both sperm side by side, my guess is here's one, here's the other, and then there's the timers going on. So that'll be interesting. I am going to watch later after it. I don't need to watch a live feed. But I do agree that we need to be a little bit more aware of our sperm health. Sperm count has been dropping. And I'm sure RFK Jr. is going to address this after he addresses the food dyes and the autism and things like that. But why are our sperm counts dropping? Is it because of hormones in our food? Is it because of obesity? The more obese you are, the more estrogen you make. Is it because of lack of activity? Is it because we are evolving to have fewer children? If the human body is not procreating and the average young male doesn't want to get married and doesn't want to have kids, there's going to be less of a biological need and expenditure to their reproductive abilities as males and humans evolve. So, that is something worth investigating. So, when we do look at your sperm, looking at the, sperm count and the there was a study back in 2017 showing that men's sperm count halved over the last 40 years. And researchers from Hebrew University in Jerusalem and Econ School of Medicine in New York looked at 42,000 male participants involved in 185 studies from 1973 to 2011. They looked at men from North America, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and they found almost a 60% drop in sperm. Now, the volume remains stable. So basically, sperm is produced in the seminiferous tubules within the testes. Once formed, they travel to the epididymis where they mature, they're stored, and then during ejaculation, the mature sperm travel from the epididymis through the vas deferens to the ampulla. They meet with seminal fluid coming from the prostate, the bulbourethral glands, and seminal vesicles, and then all together, that soup becomes semen. Now, we look at the volume, okay? Sperm, we don't want drying up. So there has to be enough volume of this. Seminal fluid can amount to maybe 1.5 to 5 milliliters or a quarter to a full teaspoon. A decrease in this amount could then cause the sperm not to have something to swim in. And it could be a result of blockage, an issue with your prostate, dehydration. We also look, when we look at healthy sperm, the concentration. Sparse sperm in an ejaculate makes it more difficult to fertilize an egg. We want you to have plenty. So concentration of sperm should be about 20 million sperm per milliliter of semen. We also want to make sure that the sperm can move. Just because it's sitting there, I don't know if you remember the Simpsons episode where Smithers' sperm was all nice in formation, military formation, swimming perfectly, and Homer's was like, no, and they were bouncing into each other. You know, it's a wonder he had 3 kids. But you want them to be able to move, because they have to fertilize up into the fallopian tube. So they have, over 8 inches to go. And then we also look at their shape and morphology. They want to make sure they're the proper shape that can then attach to the egg and do what they need to. They say at least half of the sperm in each sample should be normal shape. You have to have liquefacions of the ejaculate, because the ejaculate has to be initially thick to enable an easier package and passage of the sperm, and then it needs to thin. It needs to liquefy, those sperm could leave and do what it needs to do. Liquefaction time is about 15 to 30 minutes. And then, of course, we look at color. We look for blood. We look at whitish. The whitish gray color is more normal. But if we see brown, that could be blood. If we see green or yellow, that could be infection. Medications could do that. We also look at acidity, white blood cell composition, fructose. And so low sperm count can happen from hormones, endocrine disruptors, and our cosmetics, exposures to benzene and chemicals and pesticides, obesity, your laptop sitting on your lap, heavy metal exposure, radiation, stress, anabolic steroid use could also affect. Varicocele, the swelling of veins in the testicle, could disrupt transport, infection, tumors, and the list goes on. So if at all you're having fertility issues, have your medical provider check your sperm. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.